So I want to tell you a story. This is a story about one of the wisest people I've ever met, and he just so happens to be 7 years old. I'll never forget meeting this kid. It all started with me driving down the street in my Ford truck in Western Canada, and I got a call from a friend of mine. She's a grade 1 teacher. Her name's Christina. And she said, Taylor, I really love what you've been doing lately with funding and building schools in sub-Saharan Africa. Can we do something like that with my kids? I want to teach them about charity and philanthropy and giving back, but I don't want them to just be like asking for money or just doing kind of a boring bake sale. I want to really teach them something really interesting. I said, great, I've got an awesome idea. Why don't we do this? We'll go to your class, I'll bring $100, and we'll give it to your class, and we'll say it's your seed money. And we'll teach these kids how to start. They can start their first company with this $100, and we'll teach them that business is a tool for doing social good. We'll set them a goal. We'll say, your goal is to turn this $100 into $500. And if they do it, we'll give all $500 to a charity that supports education in Kenya. And these kids will learn that not only are there kids just like them that lack access to basic education, but starting a business can do a lot of social good. She said, I love the idea. She went to all the other teachers in her school, told them about it. We started calling it the Early Entrepreneurs Experiment. And 17 other teachers wanted to do it. So 18 classes in this school were going to do it. So I thought it'd be an amazing idea to go to the bank, take out $1,800 in cash, and walk into an elementary school. So I'll never forget, I walk into this grade 2 class. You got to picture like 25 7-year-olds sitting here, and I've got this wad of cash. I'm like, you guys, I've got $100. What are you going to do with it? They start freaking out. I want to touch it. And they're hanging off my arms. I'm like, get off me. And sorry, I didn't kick any of the kids. And the teacher says, whoa, Taylor, you can't just walk into a room full of 7-year-olds waving around $100 bills. She says, we have a flip chart. Sit down. I said, okay, cool. So she gives me one of those, like a grade 2 chair, so this little squat chair, and she opens this very professional flip chart. And on the flip chart, in very like perfect grade 2 teacher cursive, it says, bake sale, lemonade stand, it's all their ideas. Kind of boring. And then at the bottom, under all this perfect cursive writing, in this like squiggly 7-year-old writing, it says, Dylan's Plays and Stories. So I zone in on this, and I go, so who, oh, did you hear that? I go, who's Dylan, and what are these plays and stories? They sound really interesting. And there's this kid, I'll show you, so there's all the kids here, he's sitting out separated from them in the back, he's like the cool kid. And he goes, yeah, I'm Dylan. And I said, Dylan, tell me about the plays and stories. They sound really cool. He goes, okay. Stands up, and the kids are like, oh, Dylan's going to talk. And he starts pacing like this. And he says, well, I've written a lot of plays and stories. They've all been very successful. And meanwhile, he's wearing like skinny jeans and a Led Zeppelin t-shirt. He's like a 7-year-old hipster. I've written them all. They're very, very successful. He says, I've written a play for all of the kids to perform. They go, yeah. And so we're going to put on a play night. We're going to bring our parents. We'll probably have the $500 raised in like 24 hours. And they did. So Dylan's class put on this play night. They charged their parents to come and watch them. Could you imagine, like, you get there's like a 7-year-old bouncer, like, what's your name? Like, I'm your mother. You're not on the list, Colleen. And anyways, they put on this play night. It works. They sell their parents pop and chips and stuff. And Dylan's class turned their $100 into $500. And so I thought that was amazing. But I didn't hear from this school for like 2 months. And I'm wondering, how's the Early Entrepreneurs Experiment going? And I got a call one day, and they say, hey, we're done. Early Entrepreneurs Experiment's over. Come to the office. We've got to check. And I said, did you do it? Because, the goal here, by the way, was 18 classes times 500 if they all hit their goal, would be $9,000, right? And that's just enough to build a schoolhouse for kids just like them in Kenya that don't have access to basic education. So it's a school building a school. And so I'm super excited. I'm like, did they raise it? The woman, she's like, I don't know. Just come to the office at 2 o'clock. I said, okay. So I go to the office. She says, you got to go to the auditorium. Go to the auditorium, open the doors, and there's 400 kids sitting there. And there's a curtain over something that looks cardboard. They've got a curtain. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what if they did it? How empowering would it be for these kids? I'm thinking, even $5,000, even if they turned it into $5,000 would be incredible. It's all 400 kids. They do like an announcement. They like bang on the floor, da 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 da, like a drum roll, and they unveil this massive like check that they've made out. It's not for $9,000, which is what I was hoping for. It's not for $5,000. It's made up for $18,000. These kids, ages 6 to 11 years old, in like 2 months, turned $1,800 into $18,000. And it's cool, right? Yeah. And that, oh, thanks. Clap for me. So that's not where I was going, but thank you. Where was I? Right, the check. So, and that's, you know what, that's where, like an initiative like this, that's typically where it would end, right? It'd be like, yeah, cool initiative. They raised $18,000. They funded 2 schools, amazing. And next semester, that's it. But this story didn't stop there. And the reason that this story didn't stop there is because I love this story. And I told this story in a TEDx talk a little while later. Did this TEDx talk that I was absolutely terrified of. I don't know if you can see the red blotchiness and the sweaty pits and all. It was my first ever public speech. And so I did this talk and I told that story about Dylan. I told the story about the 25 kids and the whole thing. And because of that, people watched it, and I started getting emails from teachers in Turkey and Ireland, all over the States, all over Canada, and it became a thing. We had a university student say, we want to do this as our end of year project, so they took it on, and the Entrepreneurs Experiment has now been taught to thousands of kids all over North America and other parts of the world, all because of one talk, all because of 18 minutes on stage. And that's what I want to talk about today, is the power of one talk. The power of reaching people that you didn't even know were going to be reached with your story. Now, there's someone that I want to introduce you to who did not really even know what a TED Talk was, let alone thinking of doing one himself, and it's this guy. Do you guys recognize this guy? That is me. That is me 10 years ago, with this deep, dark, delicious tan that I had to lather on at 2 a.m., 4 a.m., and 6 a.m. the day of the show, right? I still have the man panties that I'm wearing. You guys want to see them? Yeah, but my mom's in the audience, you guys. Chill out. No, hi, Mom. So, it's on repeat. And you can tell that they didn't tell me to put the tan on my face the day before as well. That guy. I remember getting there, they're like, where's your face tanner? I'm like, I thought it was body. They're like, just get on stage. So I like to show this because, one, it's kind of embarrassing, and I have the little naked man trophy there. But at the end of this kind of, for me, represents the pinnacle of my outward search for happiness. At this time, I was just stuck in more muscle. Well, not all like smaller tights, but like more muscle, more money, more, everything. And after the show, I remember sitting in a bathtub, and my dad he'd come in, he gives me a smoothie. He's like, how are you feeling, son? I'm like, I can't believe I just did this for this stupid trophy. Like everything I put myself through, the little naked man trophy. And it set me on this other course, thank goodness, to trying to find something. Instead of trying to find all these things outside myself, I wanted to find something inside myself. And I decided that I was going to start giving instead of continually taking. And so I went on a trip. I went to Uganda, I went to Kenya. I wanted to find an initiative. I wanted to find a movement that I could be part of, that I could give to, that I could give my time to, my money to, that I could really sink my teeth into and get involved in. So this is one of the first villages that we went to. It's on the border of the Rwenzori. It's called the Rwenzori Mountain Range, and it's on the border of the Congo and Uganda, on the Ugandan side. And I remember getting up these switchback trails and getting to the top and seeing all of these kids everywhere. It was beautiful. They were amazing. They were smiling and happy. And there's so many of them. And I remember thinking, I wonder where their parents are. And I said to my guide who I was with, a guy named Zach, I said, Zach, this place is absolutely beautiful. The children are amazing. Where are their parents? And he turned to me and he said, well, Taylor, this village in particular, 70% of their parents, 70% of this village has AIDS, and their parents are dead. And this is when the trip went from being this kind of exploration and adventure and trying to find, my true calling to the most transformational experience of my life. And luckily, the next village that we went to, things were really, really different. In this village, they were different because they were building schools. And these schools, the short, medium, and long-term benefits that these schools have is absolutely unparalleled. Because who it affects the most is the girls in these villages. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but in developing countries, every year a girl receives an education, increases her earning income potential by up to 20%. And a girl who's educated in the developing world gets married an average of 4 years later, has 2.2 fewer children, and has an exorbitant amount more choice. So this is where I fell completely in love with education and schools. And I got back and I was like, this is what I have to do. I need to build schools. I need to raise money. And I knew there's tons of nonprofits in place, amazing nonprofits. And I'm a big proponent of, I don't know if we need any more nonprofits, right? I was like, let's just fund the ones that are on the ground. And so I thought, I'm going to be the fundraiser. I'm going to figure out how to raise these nonprofits money and build a bunch of different schools. And so I came up with an equation after a lot of different experiments that works really, really beautifully, and I want to share it with you today. It's my favorite equation. It is 33 people giving $3.33 a day for 3 months adds up to $10,000. $10,000, as you know, is just enough to build a schoolhouse that'll educate, empower, inspire roughly 1,000 kids over the next 20 years. So I came up with this. I was like, that's it. That's what we're going to do. This is the equation. Picked up my phone, started texting my friends, and I sent them this text. It said, you, me, and a bunch of our friends are going to get together to build a school in Kenya for hundreds of deserving kids. We're all going to give $3.33 a day for 3 months. I know you spend more than that on hair product every month. My friends do. There's a site being made with your picture on it, and your mom's going to be so proud. And the responses came in like this. Done. Yes, I'm in. How do we pay? And my favorite response from a friend of mine named Pete, I guess I'll look like a dick if I don't do it, so count me in. So this... I mean, it's true, Pete. Oh, excuse me. So we did this. I sent this out to my friends, and I started thinking, how the heck am I going to take the $3.33 a day? I figured I'd figure that out kind of later, some sort of a credit card processor. And so we culminated this kind of approach and put it onto a website. We started a company called Change Heroes. I would make these videos, made a video for all my friends that said, hey, this is what we're going to do, $3.33 a day, da-da-da, this is where your money's going to go, you're going to get a tax receipt, all that kind of stuff, right? Sent them a video, they could pay right on the side, and it worked. We raised $10,000 to build a school in less than 24 hours. We had $10,000 to build a school in a village called Moangaza in the rural part of the Masai Mara region of Kenya, which is now, depending on the time change when you're watching this, is full of kids being educated that didn't have access to basic education before, all because 33 friends got together and gave $3.33 a day for 3 months. And that's, again, where something like this would typically stop, right? We raised the school, we raised enough money, we built a school, cool, we feel great. But it didn't stop there. We ended up, from here, because I did that TEDx talk, I told this story as well, that one talk, the power of that one talk. I told that story, and then we ended up building 5 schools. Then we had 10 schools. Then we had people reaching out to me from all over the world saying, hey, I want to launch a campaign in Spanish. I want to do one in German. I want to do one in Italian. Then we built 20 schools, then 30 schools, then 40 schools, then 70 schools, then 120 schools, 160 schools, then 250 schools. We ended up building 350 schools in Kenya, Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nicaragua, India, China, Ecuador. 350 schools. And the craziest thing is that then I would get calls from different nonprofits saying, can we build libraries? Can we do water projects? Can we do anti-sex trafficking work? And we did. We built schools all over the world. We built libraries in Bangladesh and Vietnam. We supported girls' scholarships. We supported anti-sex trafficking work in Southeast Asia. And in total, we had 16,000 donors from 80 countries. At $5 million raised, campaigns in Spanish, English, Italian, French, German, 500 projects funded in 14 countries that will serve 200,000 people. And the second craziest thing about all of this, which is a bit bananas even every time I look at that, the second craziest thing was that's the equivalent of 1.4 million $3.33 a day contributions. It's the second craziest thing, because the first craziest thing is all of this happened from 18 freaking minutes. It all came from one story in 18 minutes that people could access, people could resonate with, people could take action on. And therefore, it didn't die with one school. It turned into 350. It turned into a bunch of different libraries and water projects and girls' scholarships all over the world, because that's the power of one single talk. Things went further. We started visiting the countries that we were funding projects in. We started building homes throughout Latin America. We'd go down and build homes for 2 days, and we'd have some integration time. It was a really incredible experience. We called it Journey. And with this, we ended up having 600 travelers go to Mexico, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Colombia. We refurbished 6 schools, built a skate park for at-risk youth. And we ended up building 150 homes with our bare hands that now are housing 1,000 people. Again, all from one talk. what if I could help someone else get a TEDx talk? What if their message could get out to a bunch of different people? What if their message could impact the world in a massive way, in their own way, to an audience that I could never reach? And so I get an email one day from a friend of mine now. This is a guy named Kevin Briel. He emails me, he was 18 at the time. He says, hey, I've been struggling with depression and anxiety throughout my teenage years. I really want to raise money to do a documentary on mental health. Will you help me? I said, for sure. We met up, we grabbed a coffee, and I said, look, I know you want to do the documentary. I know you want to start a speaking career and all that kind of stuff, but shelve all of that. I want to show you the power of one talk. And that is going to lead to the funding of the documentary. That's going to lead to the speaking gigs and all the kind of stuff. That's going to lead to you spreading your message full time. And he trusted me. He did. And that talk, if you see in the bottom right there, has over 4 million views. That talk has reached people all over the world. That talk is still being viewed 40,000 times per week now. And he did this amazing talk about depression, the dark, the light. He did this incredibly vulnerable, beautiful, amazing, authentic share. And that led to not only me, and actually I'm going to tell you one story. Kevin calls me up, he says, Taylor, I have to read this email to you that I just got. And I said, he was at about 1 million views at this time. And he pulls it up and he says, it was by this young woman named Amber. She says, hi, my name's Amber. I'm 16 years old. And Kevin, I really resonated with your talk because a little while ago, I've been suffering from depression and anxiety throughout my adolescence, and I decided to end it all. I decided to quiet the voices. I decided to end my own life. I had the pills, I had the letter written, and somehow, right before I did that, your talk came up on my feed. I watched your talk, I put the pills down, I put the letter down, and I went and talked to my parents. I'm not going to take my own life, and now I'm in recovery. And this is definitely not the only letter that Kevin got like that. And that's the power of one of these talks. Who knows who you're going to reach? There's the amount of people that you will reach with your talk that you will never, ever hear from is absolutely incredible. And I want to turn this over, and by the way, that's what it results in, is changing people's lives, is I want to turn this over to you and get you thinking, what's the power of your talk? Who are the people that aren't being reached right now because you haven't done that talk? Because if you're here, or if you're watching this after, chances are that you're a messenger. Chances are you're brought to this talk for a reason. It's because you have a message inside your head or your heart that's meant to be shared with the world, and the only thing that's stopping it is you. A lot of people think, is my talk good enough? Am I smart enough? Am I young enough? Am I old enough? Am I whatever? All of the things. Am I handsome enough? Am I pretty enough? And they all boil down to one thing. It's that seed, terrible poison of a belief that I'm not enough. And I want to say one thing unequivocally across the board: you are enough. You are old enough. You are young enough. You are smart enough. You are ready enough. It is 100% your time. And it's because of all those stories that you will never actually even hear. And I'll share with you one of those, from my perspective here, is these hands belong to a 95-year-old man named Senor Rodriguez. And this picture was taken, I was standing maybe 6 feet behind him. This picture was taken on one of our trips. We were to El Salvador, where we built about 20 homes in 2 days. And I got to watch this moment happen. This is my favorite moment of the build. The build is the ceremony at the end, the ribbon cutting ceremony. And I got to watch these hands cut this ribbon, insert the key into that lock, open it up, and swing open the door and walk into his very first brand new home. After being on this planet for almost a century and living in shacks made of tin, plywood, pallets, tarps, whatever they could find, walking into his first brand new home. And I'd love to convey to you what it looked like to see that happen and what it felt like, but I think this picture does a better job. So I want to finish this by saying, if something was stirred up in you right now, that's your message. If something was uncomfortable for you in this talk, that's your message. If something was inspired in you, that's your message. That's why you're here. That's why you're watching this, because you have something to share with the world. I want to finish this with a quote by a woman who I very much admire, Marianne Williamson. And to really bring this home and let it sink in, I'd love for you to close your eyes. and hear this to the core of your being. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Thank you.
Thrive Union is a real-world community and life school dedicated to human well-being. Our regular events include parties, game nights, supper clubs, hikes, and Thrive meetings to build deep levels of intimacy, empower us to grow, and improve our world. Our life school provides educational videos, articles, conferences, and educational courses. Visit our website at thriveunion.org to learn more.